Hey guys, it's a Thursday night. We're getting ready for another pour on Saturday morning. I'm just out here buttoning up the rebar, getting it up on the slab bolsters, and I'm going to be putting the speed dials in. So this will be the third of 5 pours. You see here, got the 2 done, and then this one we got formed up. It's 20 foot by 50 foot. They said our saw joints are on 10 by 10 squares, so we're going 20, so we saw it once down there, and then that joint there, once we butt the concrete up to it, we just saw the joint to make it look like it was a seamless pour. So it worked pretty good over there. It should hopefully work out on the rest of them. The key is just keeping that edge nice and square when you pour it, and then when you go to saw it, you just saw right on that joint. Right here we did have to switch to wood forms. We are using the steel forms, but right here the foam had a couple high spots in it, and I couldn't get the true 4 inches. Those forms there are 4 inches. These are 2x4, so they're 3.5. So I got about a 1/2 inch gap under most of it, except that one spot it kind of bowed up. I didn't really want to have to notch. I'd have to groove the plastic, and with all this tubing in there, I had to groove the foam just to get the tubing down enough to get the form to fit. So that's a big enough pain in the butt, much less grooving it to get the 2x4 to fit. So we started off with metal, then we had to switch to wood. So on this one it was kind of a pain. The next one over here we go to 5 inches deep, so those forms will be floating 1 inch. We'll have to cut a little filler in or put some spray foam under it. We use this concrete. You'll see, I'm going to film this pour. That we pour it pretty loose. We're going to use a super plasticizer. I've never actually used it before until we started these. I'm going to give a shout out to Mike Day, the Mike Day's Concrete on YouTube. I've been watching his videos quite a bit and watching how they pour floors. And I've done a little bit of flat work, but nothing to this scale. But I've been watching his videos the last couple of years, and gave me the confidence to tackle this, especially on learning how to run a trowel machine and what to do. So you can see these slabs here, they turned out very, very well. But back to the plasticizer. If you don't know what it is, it's a water reducer. Basically, instead of adding water to increase your slump, which is basically the thickness or consistency of the concrete, the lower the number, the stiffer the concrete. But the lower the number is also the stronger the concrete. So like a 2, 3, 4 is a very stiff slump, but you can't really rate. I mean, it's really hard to pour out for a floor. If you're like pulling curb or something, it'd be fine. But for a floor, it's dang near impossible. I mean, it can be done, but it's not going to be an easy job. But the more water you add, you lose compression strength in the concrete. Your PSI rating goes down. We're pouring. This concrete here is going to be a 4,000 PSI mix. I've got fiber mesh in it, which is basically little strands of fiberglass. That also adds reinforcement. And then I've got 1/2 inch rebar. The 4,000 PSI, if we would add, it comes out at a 4 inch slump in the truck. So we'd have to add enough water. A 5 inch slump is, you can pour a floor at 5 inch. That's still kind of stiff, but that's relatively done. We poured this at about a 6 to 6.5, and we were able to do that and still maintain the 4,000 PSI concrete. Now, I'm not a scientist. I know enough about it to get by here, so I may mess this up, so you can correct me if I get it wrong. But instead of adding the water, we add this chemical. It's a super plasticizer, or a high range water reducer. This chemical will increase your slump chemically, and it'll keep the same compressive strength. So say you start out at a 4 inch slump, you want to take it to a 6 inch, you add water, you're going to lose so many PSI per gallon of water added. When you use the super plasticizer, that doesn't happen. You still maintain the strength of a 4 inch slump. So that's why we're doing that. I said I've poured a little concrete, but the rest of my help is fairly new at it. Of course, this is their third pour. We got it down pretty good, but the looser the concrete coming out, it's easier raking around and striking off. and gives you a little bit more time working it. It also acts as a slight retarder. It's really cooling down. We're pouring early in the morning where it's probably upper 40s, mid 50s. So it's not like it's taking off on us, but you'll see we probably get a good 6.5 inch slump with this plasticizer. So that's helping us out there as well. See, I got the rebar that's on 18 by 18 square. I've got it on 1.5 inch slab bolsters. I ended up, they come 5 foot long. I ended up cutting them and just putting them in there, mainly for the price. And things, they're about $4 something a piece. I didn't know they were that expensive. In the past, I've just used bricks, but the cost of everything's going up. Bricks are over $1 now, so I'd have a couple $100 in bricks. These slab bolsters are easier, so I just bought 50 of them, and I'm just cutting them up. And it still does what I need to do. We've also got it doweled every foot into the previous slab. That keeps it from any shifting going on, since it's basically a cold joint there. That won't let it rise. It does slide. I'm using something called speed dowels. Let me see here. You see how this rebar slides in and out? There's a plastic tube right here that's in the other pour. So this 1/2 inch bar or a 5/8 smooth dowel fits in here. And that allows the concrete will grip this side of the rebar, but this side will slide, so it allows movement between the slabs. I don't think we're going to have much movement. We're trapped in between concrete walls. We do have the 2-inch foam around the walls, which is kind of acting as an expansion joint. So that allows for some movement, but this whole building, minus that 25 foot over there, will be temperature controlled. So I'll show you the speed dowels we're using. On the form, you see all these gray things. That's the base right here. You screw them on at your spacing, and then here's the speed dowel. It's just a little plastic tube. It's made by Sika. I forgot how it was pronounced. They make a lot of concrete products, concrete caulks. So the bases are reusable, and you just buy these sleeves. These sleeves, I think I got them online from the EMI supply. I do have a supplier locally that carries them. Locally, they were about $1.80 something a piece. I was able to find them online for $1.20 a piece. So I ended up getting them online, and they had like a $20 off coupon with it. So I got them fairly cheap. But they just slide. You just push them on the base, pour your concrete surrounds it, and when you pull your form, the base goes with the form. We just got a couple little screws holding it on, and then it's ready for the next one. And then this is what the rebar slides into. These are 9 inches for an 18-inch dowel. They also make them 12 inches for a 24-inch dowel. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this one buttoned up. Sun's going down over there. It's gonna get dark here fairly quick. All right, good morning, everybody. It's been a couple weeks since you've seen the last bit of footage. I think we poured one more slab. I forgot to bring the camera out here. So here's where we're at. It's about 6:15 in the morning. We got concrete coming at 7 to 7:30. You can see it's in the fall now, so it's dark in the morning. Had to build a homemade light plant with the digger truck. Got a couple big LED 1200 watt fixtures mounted on the boom so I can swing it where I want. It should be light by the time concrete gets here, but our weather window's closing pretty quick. It's the second to last week of October. I got 2 more slabs. It's supposed to be real nice, up to 80 today, so it's gonna be perfect weather for pouring this. Let's hope the weather holds out at least 1 more week. So I'm getting everything ready, getting our tools set up, and hopefully we'll be pouring some concrete here in about an hour. So I'll bring you back. everybody. It's been 2 weeks since our last pour, and let's see, 3 weeks since the last slab you saw in that video footage. You can see here, we finally got the floor all done. We were right at about 80 yards of concrete on the whole thing. It turned out really, really well. I'm very happy with it. So we've got all our contraction joints sawed in. I got to clean around that trench drain yet. We went a little over it with the trowel machine, so I just need to break that little layer off. We're gonna go ahead and on all these joints put foam rope inside of them and some self-leveling caulk just to kind of finish everything off. And you can see here, this is our cold joint basically, where we join the two slabs together and we run the saw down through here after. You see it turns out really well. It makes a nice joint. It don't look like you just butted concrete together, so it looks like you did a continuous pour. The only thing right now different is the color difference, but it is evening out. You get over to the other side, the color evens out on it. It's still got the discolor because we did put a cure and seal on top of it, mainly because I didn't have a way to keep it wet. We don't have water out here yet, and I wanted some type of sealer on it, so we used a cure and seal sprayed on. You can see that we got some roller overlap marks. Those are wearing off down here in the other slab as it's drying out. Once I get all the joints caulked in, I'm gonna power wash this whole slab, and probably once the building's up, and we're gonna put another coat of sealer across the whole thing at one time. I'll show you real quick the sealer we used. This right here is what we used on it. It is a curing and sealing compound. Basically, the sealer, everyone knows what a sealer is, concrete sealer. The curing compound, it forms a layer on top of the concrete. Right after you finish power troweling, we sprayed this stuff on, and it forms a barrier to hold the moisture in the concrete. Because if the concrete dries out too fast, you start losing strength, and you get a little bit of cracking in it. So this lets it basically slows the moisture coming out. That's why you can see this slab here, it's darker than that slab. That's still the moisture that's trapped in there. And as it's curing out, it's a slower cure. I don't know all the science behind it. I just know you either want to keep it moist, like throwing water on it, or they make blankets, or like a burlap or a synthetic blanket you wet down and put on it. This is just a chemical version of that. So I think that 5-gallon bucket was about $200, and I used 2 buckets. So they were $200 a piece. So yeah, I got about $400 in the cure and seal, which wasn't too bad. So that's how we're gonna pretty much leave this video. Keep track, we got lumber rolling in, so we should start framing here pretty soon. It's getting a little cold out, but we're gonna keep going anyway. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.